Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. The California sun was just beginning to dip behind the rolling hills, casting a golden glow over the sprawling estate. Mal stood near the ornate fountain in the mansion's front courtyard, hands nervously smoothing his blazer. The anticipation was palpable. The first night of the Golden Bachelor season had always carried a certain electric magic, and tonight was no exception. He'd spent the past week preparing for this moment, the limousines pulling up, the first glimpse of the women who could potentially change his life. "Okay, Mel," he muttered to himself, squaring his shoulders. "Keep it cool, charm them, smile, don't trip over anything." Just as he finished his internal pep talk, the first limo glided to a graceful stop. Its polished black surface reflected the golden sunset, and the soft hum of the engine fading into silence felt like the overture to a grand performance. Mel took a deep breath. His heart was racing, not with nerves, but with the curious thrill of meeting someone completely unknown, someone who might just turn out to be the one. The door of the limo opened slowly. A gust of cool evening air spilled out, carrying with it the scent of roses and expensive perfume. And then she stepped out. She was radiant, not just in the way the cameras would later capture her flawless features or designer dress, but in the way she carried herself. Confident, playful, unapologetically herself. Her hair tumbled in soft waves over her shoulders, catching the light, and her smile, oh, that smile, was both teasing and warm, like a secret she wanted him to discover. Mel's pulse spiked. "Wow," he whispered under his breath, barely audible over the soft clink of the limo door. She paused mid-step, looking around the courtyard as if appraising the scene. Then her gaze found him, and she raised an eyebrow, a small smirk playing at the corner of her lips. "Well, Mel," she said, her voice lilting and confident, "I suppose we can call it a wrap right now. I mean, why keep everyone waiting?" Mel blinked, caught off guard by her boldness. He laughed, a short, delighted burst that seemed to echo off the fountain. "You're jumping right in, huh?" "Why not?" she replied, stepping closer. "Life's too short for small talk when the stakes are this high." He held out a hand, but she shook her head, instead taking his arm lightly. The cameras weren't rolling yet, but it didn't matter. In that moment, it felt like they were the only two people in the world. "What's your name?" he asked, unable to tear his eyes away from her. "Olivia," she said, with a mischievous tilt of her head. "And you are?" "Mel," he said, smiling. "Mel Thompson. Welcome to, well, this little adventure, I guess." Olivia laughed softly, a sound that seemed to harmonize perfectly with the trickling water of the fountain. "Adventure is one word for it," she said. "I prefer life-changing opportunity." Mel chuckled again. He couldn't remember the last time someone walked in and immediately commanded the space around them, yet didn't seem like they were trying too hard. Olivia had a presence that was magnetic, and even in that first glance, he felt a strange certainty. She was someone who would make an impression no matter what. As they walked toward the mansion together, the other limousines began to arrive, the hum of engines breaking the serene bubble around them. But for now, Mel and Olivia were in their own orbit, a private universe shielded from cameras and producers. "So," Olivia began, glancing at him with a teasing grin. "So, what's your strategy? Are you going to win me over with witty banter, charm, or do I need to prepare for something more dramatic?" Mel laughed, shaking his head. "I think a mix of all three, actually. But mostly, I'm just going to be honest. No games, no tricks. I figure honesty is pretty dramatic enough in this setting." Olivia's smile softened into something almost tender. "I like that. Real is rare." The mansion doors opened, and the producer's assistants waved them inside. Cameras were rolling now, capturing every detail, the sparkle in Olivia's eyes, the way Mel's shoulders relaxed when she was near, the subtle electricity that seemed to crackle between them, but both of them were surprisingly unfazed. Inside, the grand hall shimmered under crystal chandeliers, the red carpet freshly rolled out for the evening's spectacle. Women from the remaining limousines began to enter, each carefully curated for drama, elegance, and romance. Mel noticed them, yes, but his attention kept drifting back to Olivia, who seemed to glide through the space with an effortless poise. "Shall we?" she whispered, and he nodded. They moved to a private corner, just out of the camera's most intrusive angles. Here, Mel felt he could finally breathe. "So," he asked, "first impressions? You made quite one." Olivia laughed again, leaning casually against a marble pillar. "That's the plan, Mel. Life's short. Why not start with a bang?" Mel grinned. He felt an unfamiliar lightness, a mixture of excitement and curiosity that made his chest tighten in the best way possible. "You know," he said, "I think we might just have started the season off better than anyone expected." She tilted her head, her eyes sparkling with humor and challenge. "Are you making a promise, Mel Thompson?" "Not a promise," he said carefully, "but maybe a prediction." Olivia's laugh rang out again, drawing a few glances from the other women. She didn't seem to care. Mel admired that. In a show designed for spectacle, she was refreshingly herself. The evening continued, introductions and conversations buzzing around the grand hall. Mel found himself returning again and again to Olivia, drawn to her wit, her warmth, and the quiet confidence that made her stand apart from the rest. And Olivia, well, she seemed equally intrigued by him. At one point, as the women were guided to their private rooms to change into evening attire, Olivia leaned in close and whispered, "You know, Mel, we might need to talk strategy, or at least figure out how we're going to survive this circus together." Mel smiled, feeling a rush of connection. "Survive it? I was thinking more along the lines of enjoy it, maybe even have a little fun." Her eyes widened slightly, then she laughed. "Fun! That's dangerously close to excitement. I like it." As the night wore on, Mel realized that meeting Olivia had shifted something. This wasn't just about roses, cameras, or the Golden Bachelor spectacle. This was about the unexpected spark, the kind of chemistry that writers pretend exists only in novels. But here it was, real, palpable, and undeniable. Finally, the first cocktail of the evening was served, and Mel found himself alone with Olivia on a balcony overlooking the estate. The sky was a deep indigo, studded with stars, and the soft breeze carried the scent of night-blooming jasmine. "You know," Olivia said, leaning on the railing, "I wasn't sure what to expect tonight, but I can honestly say I'm intrigued, and maybe a little excited." Mel chuckled. "A little excited? That's putting it mildly." She turned to him, eyes locking onto his, and for a moment the world fell away. "Mel," she said softly, "whatever happens this season, I think we might just have started something worth remembering." He nodded, feeling the weight of her words, the thrill of possibility. "I think you're right, Olivia." And in that quiet, electric moment, as the mansion lights twinkled behind them and the stars shimmered above, Mel realized sometimes the first glance is all it takes. Sometimes the spark is instant. And sometimes you can indeed call it a wrap right from the very
The Golden
start.
Bachelor estate woke to the soft chirping of birds and the gentle rustle of palm trees swaying in the breeze. Mel sipped his coffee on the terrace, the aroma of freshly baked croissants mingling with the crisp air. Despite the calm morning, the excitement of the previous night lingered, especially Olivia's effortless charm. He replayed her words over and over in his mind. "We can call it a wrap right now." She had entered his life with a confidence so magnetic it was almost audacious, but in the best way. The sound of approaching footsteps pulled him from his thoughts. Turning, he saw Olivia striding down the stone path, a sun hat tilted jauntily over her face. She waved, and that mischievous smile returned. "Good morning, Mr. Bachelor," she said, sliding onto the terrace beside him. "I trust you're ready for the chaos today?" Mel grinned. "I think so. But somehow, it feels less chaotic when you're around." Olivia tilted her head, examining him with curiosity and amusement. Flattery already? Dangerous, you know. Merely the truth, he said, meeting her gaze. And honestly, I'm not sure I can help it. For a moment, silence fell over them, comfortable and unforced. The kind of silence that comes when two people are fully present with each other. Then Olivia leaned in slightly, lowering her voice conspiratorially. So, what's the plan for today? Is it all rose ceremonies and awkward small talk, or is there an actual adventure involved? Mel laughed softly. Adventure is part of the plan. I figured we could explore the grounds a little before the chaos hits. Maybe find a quiet spot to talk. Her eyes sparkled. I like the sound of that. Let's escape the cameras, at least for a little while. They wandered through the estate's gardens where fountains burbled and flowers burst in vivid colors. It felt like a secret world separate from the manufactured drama of reality television. Olivia's laughter echoed off the hedges, light and musical, making Mel feel like the world had tilted slightly in his favor. So, tell me, she said, as they paused by a koi pond, what brought you here? Not the show, I mean. You. What made you want to take this leap? Mel considered her question. Most contestants would recite the line about seeking love or finding companionship, but with Olivia, he felt no need to play a part. I guess I'm here because I believe in second chances. Love isn't always convenient, and it's not always easy, but if you're lucky, you meet someone who makes all the missteps worth it. That's what I'm hoping for. Olivia's expression softened. That's refreshingly honest. She reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair from his forehead. You know, I didn't expect to find sincerity so early in this circus. Mel chuckled, feeling the warmth of her hand linger longer than necessary. Maybe we're both lucky then. Their moment was interrupted by a distant shout. One of the other women had spotted them wandering. Reality came crashing back in, and they shared a conspiratorial glance. Looks like our secret garden is about to be discovered, Mel whispered. Olivia grinned. Then we'd better make the most of it while we can. The day unfolded with a mix of interviews, staged introductions, and playful mischief. Olivia had a knack for disarming the tension around her. Producers tried to steer conversations toward dramatics, but she deflected with humor and grace. Every time she laughed, Mel felt a pull toward her, an invisible thread tightening with each glance and touch. By evening, the first rose ceremony approached. The grand hall glittered under crystal chandeliers, a sea of anticipation buzzing in the air. Mel's heart thudded, not from nerves, but from the weight of possibility. He glanced around at the assembled women, each poised and elegant, but it was Olivia who drew his attention, as always. As the ceremony began, Mel felt the cameras capture every heartbeat, every smile, every subtle flicker of emotion. One by one, the contestants stepped forward, receiving their roses, the ritual unfolding with both predictability and tension. Finally, it was Olivia's turn. She approached him with that same mischievous confidence, her eyes locking with his. She held out her hand, no hesitation, no pretense, and he slid the rose into her fingers. A cheer erupted in the hall, but for Mel and Olivia, it felt like the room had melted away. After the ceremony, they slipped into the garden again, away from cameras and producers. The night air was cool and the stars glittered like scattered diamonds. You know, Olivia said softly, leaning against the fountain, I wasn't sure what to expect when I got out of that limo, but I can honestly say, you're even more intriguing than I imagined. Mel smiled, stepping closer. And you're even more extraordinary than I expected. I think this is the start of something remarkable. She reached for his hand, intertwining their fingers. Then let's not waste a single moment of it. As the Golden Bachelor mansion buzzed with drama, roses, and cameras, Mel and Olivia found a quiet, thrilling truth that sometimes the first glance, the first laugh, the first connection is all it takes to change everything. And under the golden night sky, with the world watching yet somehow forgotten, they shared a moment that would define the season. A spark of possibility, a whisper of love, and the undeniable feeling that this could be the beginning of forever.
The days that followed were a whirlwind of laughter, tension, and subtle competition. The estate, with its sprawling gardens, glimmering pool, and grand halls, became both playground and battlefield.
Cameras captured every smile, every glance, every word that could hint at romance or rivalry. But for Mel and Olivia, the stakes were more personal than televised drama could capture. One morning, Mel found Olivia in the herb garden, kneeling among lavender and rosemary as if she had stepped out of a dream. She looked up when he approached, her hair glinting in the soft morning sun. "Good morning, Mr. Bachelor," she said, brushing soil from her hands. "Care to join me in gardening?" Mel laughed. "I didn't know roses and reality TV went together so well." She smirked. "Ah, but that's the charm of it. You can plant seeds, and sometimes they grow into something beautiful." They spent the morning tending to the garden together, laughter spilling into the quiet corners of the estate. It was moments like these, unscripted, private, that made Mel feel a connection he had never expected. The cameras captured them from afar, but they were oblivious, wrapped in their own little world. But not everyone was pleased. The other contestants, sharp-eyed and competitive, began to notice the undeniable chemistry between Mel and Olivia. Subtle jabs, pointed questions, and whispered strategies emerged as attempts to disrupt their connection. During a group challenge that involved crafting a themed sculpture together, one contestant deliberately pushed Olivia aside while reaching for a key prop. Olivia barely faltered, smiling at Mel with a playful roll of her eyes. "Don't worry," she whispered under her breath as he passed by. "I can handle a little drama." Mel felt a surge of admiration. Olivia wasn't just beautiful, she was clever, resilient, and unshakably herself. The realization deepened his feelings, making the stakes feel both higher and more meaningful. Later that evening, the producers announced a surprise group date, a horseback ride along a cliffside trail overlooking the ocean at sunset. The golden light painted the horizon, and the rhythmic sound of hooves echoed along the sandy cliffs. Olivia, radiant in a flowing dress and riding gear, looked like she had stepped from a dream into reality. Mel rode alongside her, trying to focus on the trail while stealing glances at her profile, the wind tossing her hair dramatically. "You seem distracted," Olivia teased, glancing sideways at him. "I'm just trying to keep up with you," Mel replied, laughing. "But somehow you make this feel like an adventure rather than a challenge." She reached over, brushing his hand. "Maybe we're just meant to be co-adventurers." The ride ended at a secluded cove where the waves crashed softly against the rocks below. Mel and Olivia walked along the edge of the water, their hands intertwined, fingers laced in a perfect rhythm. "You know," Mel said, stopping and facing her, "I never imagined I'd feel this way. Not after one meeting, not in the midst of all this." He gestured vaguely to the estate, the cameras, the chaos. "But with you, it feels like everything makes sense." Olivia's eyes glistened in the golden light. "I feel the same. It's terrifying and thrilling all at once." They shared a kiss, slow and deep, the kind that made time itself seem to pause. For a moment, the world, the cameras, the competition, the expectations disappeared entirely. But the Golden Bachelor was never without its challenges. The next day, during a group meeting and group activity, Olivia noticed a contestant trying to subtly isolate her, asking pointed questions about her intentions with Mel. Olivia's eyes met Mel's across the room, and a silent understanding passed between them. After the activity, she approached him privately. "You know, some people here think they can manipulate the situation," she said, her voice steady but tinged with fire. "I just want you to know I'm not playing games, and I don't expect you to either." Mel squeezed her hand. "I don't play games. Not with you, not with this connection. You mean too much for me to risk it with anything less than honesty." Later, in the privacy of the balcony overlooking the gardens, they watched the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples. "You're unlike anyone I've ever met," Mel whispered, his forehead resting against hers. "I think
I think this season might change everything for me. Olivia smiled softly, brushing a lock of hair from his eyes. And you've already changed me. You've made me believe in possibilities I'd forgotten existed. As twilight deepened, they shared another kiss, more passionate this time, a culmination of trust, excitement, and the growing intimacy between them. Their hearts raced, the night air charged with unspoken promises. The next rose ceremony approached, more dramatic than the last. Contestants fidgeted in their gowns and suits, each vying for Mel's attention. But as he handed out the roses, his eyes repeatedly sought Olivia's across the room. She approached him with calm confidence, smiling softly, and he gave her the rose with a quiet, unspoken affirmation of their bond. Afterwards, they escaped to the garden again, under the cover of darkness and twinkling lights. You know, Olivia said, leaning into him, I think we're stronger than the competition, if only because we're real, and nothing can beat that. Mel kissed her top of her head. You're right, and I wouldn't trade this for anything. Not the drama, not the spectacle, not even the roses, just us. They stood together, watching the stars appear one by one, feeling the weight of the moment and the thrill of what was to come. For Mel and Olivia, the Golden Bachelor had become something far greater than television drama. It had become a journey of discovery, vulnerability, and the kind of connection that could survive any challenge. And as they held each other beneath the starlit sky, a quiet certainty settled between them. The spark that started in that first limo with that playful declaration, "We can call it a wrap right now," was only the beginning. The real story, the true adventure, was just beginning.